Thank you, Melissa, and the chamber staff for putting this on. I kind of expected about a dozen, 2 dozen people, and I have far more, and that's absolutely great. We had 45 minutes, right? I have enough here to fill up the 45 minutes, so I'll try to keep it brief. Thank you all for coming. Welcome. Since I am somewhat new to the Spearfish District and community, I'd just like to tell a little bit about myself. I am a Custer grad, but I'm a BH alum. And once I graduated from here, my wife and I, and child at the time, we moved to Kansas. I taught down there for about 7 years. Moved to Warner. That was my first administrative job as a middle school high school principal. Did that for about 3 years, became superintendent. I was in Warner for about 12 years. Then I moved to Lennox for 2. Didn't have really any plans of moving from Lennox, but then this opportunity came up and I couldn't pass on it. So I'm very thankful and feel very blessed to be in this community and serving the Spearfish School District. My presentation today is going to revolve around 4 different areas. The first one is our strategic plan. The second one is our annual report. The third one is safety and security in our schools. It seems to be a hot topic these days. And the last thing is facilities. So starting a strategic plan, when I first came in started July 1, 2016, I wanted to know more about the district. And I think we needed a little bit of direction on where we were going. So we had parents do perception surveys, students, staff, and of the like. And we just got perceptions back on things that we did very well and things that we had areas of improvement. We got different stakeholders together and we met for a couple of different occasions. And we just talked about those things, and we had themes and so on. And then we brought that back. We had a steering committee on the board, and we revisited our mission and our vision statements, and then our guiding values. And then from there, we put together our strategic plan. And we kind of mirrored the city's strategic plan because when people looked at one, we wanted it to be fairly similar, at least the structure of it. So it wasn't something completely new. So we came up with pillars as well and focus areas. The thing that's different about our strategic plan is a lot of them that are done, not just in schools, but in organizations, it gets done and it gets put on a shelf. And you look at it that first initial year, maybe a little bit the second year, then the third, fourth, and fifth year, you're dusting it off every time you bring it out. So we do what we call annual priorities. And the annual priorities each year, the board and the administrative team sit down and we look at, again, perception data from our students, staff, and parents. And we say, what are some of the things that we need to work on? What do we need to improve on? And we also look at our academic scores and areas that we might need to improve upon as well. So each year, the board and the administrative team come up with those priorities based on the perception data. They're approved, and then we address them throughout the year. And the administrative team, we report to the board quarterly on the strategies that we put into place to address those. And then in May, June of the next year, we report back on how we've accomplished those. So in our first year, one of the first things that we had was having a growth model assessment. We seem like we test our kids a lot, but some of the tests that we do test them with are required by the state, and they don't give us a whole lot of data. So we wanted to implement a growth model assessment that we could assess kids at the beginning of the school year, the middle of the school year, and at the end of the school year. So we could identify what areas students needed to improve upon, and we could adjust our curriculum and instruction to meet their needs. And so that was year 1 priority, and we continued that into year 2 just because it's important to do that. Another priority we wanted to, in the first year, to get better at was collaborate, not only at the grade level, but between grade levels. So again, when we have grade level buildings like West, that is first and second, Creekside 3 through 5, middle school 6, 8, and of course high school 9, 12, and then Mountain View Kindergarten, it's important that those folks, they talk amongst themselves in the buildings, but we wanted it between the buildings. So that was one of our priorities, was to increase that collaboration. Another one was to improve our math scores. And if we look at this year's math scores, that happened. We improved our math scores. And then the last thing was to come up with a facilities plan. That is still a work in progress. That is some of my responsibility. It's very difficult to come up with consensus, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. This year, again, we're continuing our growth model assessment implementation. But one of our new priorities is social and emotional learning for students and the physical safety of students. Again, we like to think that we listen to the people that give us their perceptions on our schools. and you hear about bullying and responsibility and accountability and all of that among students. Well, we need to help students in that. So we are implementing a few different things. One of them is it's called Second Step. It's a social emotional learning curriculum. And we're just piloting this year. We want to make sure it's the right curriculum before we do the outright purchase. So we're doing that. We hired another school counselor. We're looking at a mentoring program in the high school, possibly down into the middle school a little bit. And this is all on top of things that we already do. We already have character education in schools. We have PBIS, which is positive behavior interventions and supports. We have great counseling staff. We have teachers that build relationships with kids. So we do a lot of good stuff right now. But we just needed to further enhance what we were doing.